On today's Mailbag episode, the San Diego Padres put up some historical offensive numbers against the lowly Colorado Rockies, including as well some good stuff on the pitching side from Randy Vasquez and Stephen Kolek, whether or not the latter is cementing himself as a true force in this rotation, and of course, answering some of your questions, as always, because it is the Mailbag. So let's get into it.
You are Locked On Padres, your daily San Diego Padres podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Locked On Padres podcast, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day for Monday, May 12th. As always, I'm your host, the Padres fan, the San Diego Padres fan from New Jersey, Javier Reyes. You can follow me on Twitter /X and Blue Sky at Javipeno, JAVIIPENO. Be sure to go check me out on there if you want some of your questions, comments, or concerns addressed. Today's episode, though, guys, is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Stumbling upon my words a little bit at the onset of this show, guys, but make no mistake, that is going to be it is a red herring. It will be a good podcast today, don't worry. But everybody, we are back here. First of all, I want to give a shout out to some people who reached out and mentioned that the volume was a little bit off on the previous episodes. I believe I've addressed that, so feel free to leave a comment just about that. It doesn't even have to be about the Padres, so let me know if that came through good for you listeners and viewers out there. Today's episode, guys, we are recapping this weekend's pretty party rock, dare I say, series. In a lot of ways, it was a lot of fun this weekend. A nice, for the most part, lean back and just enjoy some Padres baseball and some ultimate offense, which is what we got, except for Sunday. We're going to talk about that game first because it is the unfortunate game and whether or not there are any concerns. And then we'll be answering some mailbag questions. Let's get into it, guys. Sunday's game, the Padres unfortunately lose this one. They do not manage to get the sweep, 9-3 loss, which would surprise some people because the ace, dare I say, of the entire Padres team, at least in terms of ERA, up to this point, has been Nick Pivetta, who pitched in this one, but he had probably his second worst start of the year, in my opinion, or maybe even worse, depending on how you want to view the Cubs start. Because his Cubs game was, while he only went 3 innings, it was a really good Cubs offense, and basically nobody has been able to stop that offense all year. But he goes 4 innings in this one, gives up 6 earned runs on 7 hits, walks 2, and strikes out 5. Look, he gave up a couple hard hits. Obviously, he gave up a big double. I'm sorry, not a big double. He gave a big home run to start this one from Hunter Goodman that basically feels like the game, it wasn't over, but it felt like it kind of basically was the turning point of the game. A home run in the bottom of the first inning. Hunter Goodman hits a triple after that, and Mickey Moniak drives in another one with a single. Just not great for our guy Pivetta. And it's funny. I'm just going to, toot my own horn, rub my own back, whatever the phrase is, that some of the stuff that I predicted for this weekend on Friday actually turned out to be true, right? Like, that's what's pretty funny about this is that we got some interesting starts. One of them from Stephen Kolek, who I liked heading into this weekend. And Nick Pivetta is a guy that he's been in the top 10 in home runs. Given up over the last 4 seasons, right? Or last 2 seasons, last 3 seasons, like a long stretch of time. He's home run, he's home run vulnerable, I guess. He can get a little bit like that sometimes. He's made up for that this year because he's been getting so many strikeouts. And in general, over the past couple of years, he has made up for it a decent amount with the amount of strikeouts that he gets. And because he pitches in Petco, it's just kind of a match made in heaven. So while, yes, this did super boost his ERA to a 3 on the season now, 3.05, it was a 2.01 before this. I'm okay with that. This is in Coors Field, and while I'm not saying that the Rockies just got only offense because of it being Coors Field, it just feels like this was the game that it makes sense that this is where he struggled a little bit. But he's still been racking up strikeouts for the majority of the season and limiting runs. But in general, just not all that great. He had given up 6 earned runs in his last 5 starts combined, and he gave up 6 in just 3 innings, to start this Rockies game on Sunday. So not the best moment for our guy, but it's okay. He still actually had some decent peripherals. Right? Like, he got a lot of whiffs on his fastball and his sweeper. 8 on the fastball with 20 swings and 6 on his sweeper with 6 swings. I still think that those pitches are legit. I just think he was due for a bad start, and it's okay. I really don't think that there's anything to look into when it comes to this Pivetta start. I know it's not a very good Rockies team. I understand that, but they were going to hit at some point, especially with the absolute just mollywhopping that they received on Saturday and Friday. So not really all that concerned about Nick Pivetta. And in general, while I'm really bullish on him going forward, I don't think this was a 2 ERA guy, right? I think he's going to be like a 3.4, 3.5 ERA guy, who might even go back to being normal after this start for the rest of the first half of the season. Like, I really do think he's going to be an all-star. So Nick Pivetta, awesome stuff in general. And the Padres only scored 3 runs in this one. They started off okay, right? At the top of the first inning, they were putting some guys on base. But unfortunately, they didn't get like the big hits I think that they were getting on Friday and on Saturday. Tatis gets a single. Luis Arraez grounds out. Tatis is at second because of a wild pitch, and then Gavin Sheets hits a single, and then Manny Machado, he had ground. It was a sacrifice thing. And then the only other runs that they get in this game, a Fernando Tatis ground out again, which was kind of like, okay, you still have this vibe throughout this game that you're like, they can make a comeback. They can. You know why? Because it's Coors Field, and we just put up 32 runs or whatever it was. I think 34 runs in 2 games from Friday to Saturday, which I keep alluding to a lot to keep you guys going through the podcast, because don't worry, we'll get some positives soon. But then you get a Manny Machado single, and then that's basically it, right? They were unable to come back. It was just too deep of a hole, but I'm just not all that concerned. I think that this was just one of those lost games, and we all know that the Rockies hate us and love just really turning it on to make us not happy, even when they're historically bad. What was really funny as well was after this game, Bud Black got fired. I mean, I'm not saying it's funny that he got fired. I think it's funny that a team that has been run really poorly, that has some of the worst ownership in baseball, that has one of the worst contracts in baseball in Chris Bryant, that they handed out after getting rid of a better player, Nolan Arenado, a franchise legend for them, who cost less than that, right? Like, they decided to hand out more for a more flawed player in Chris Bryant, but they traded away Nolan Arenado for nothing. So again, just not a very well-run team. And for them to fire him after a win, the guy who has the most wins, I believe, as a manager in Rockies history, very weird timing. And while, yes, there is a degree of, while I'm like, hey, the players have to play, I understand a little bit of frustration on the Rockies' part, because they're worse than they are last year, and they have some guys, Brenton Doyle, you know what I mean? They have Brenton Doyle, they have Ezekiel Tovar, they have some stuff. Chase Doolander, their top prospect, is up this year. I get it, so maybe you were expecting a little bit more, but this is also a team that traded away Nolan Jones, who had done some decent stuff for them, and I think has been okay at times in Cleveland. And you have some other guys underperforming, right? Ryan McMahon not doing all that much. This just has not been a very good team, and it's still on track to be one of the worst in baseball history, which says a lot since we had the White Sox last year. So, Rockies, I don't know what you're doing, but what can I tell you? Teams do weird things. Overall, though, just a loss that I think you can wipe off the slate. And while it would have been nice to get the sweep, the Padres are still 25-13 heading into the series against the Angels, and then a weekend series that I will be in attendance in San Diego. Oh yes, I can't wait, against the Mariners. I still think that this team has been just showing that they're really good. And what was also really great this weekend is that you got some old friendly faces back, Jackson Merrill and Jake Cronenworth, and a nice start from our guy Stephen Kolek, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, guys. But first, we need to take a break to talk about one of our sponsors. And that sponsor, everybody, is the one that you heard at the top of this show. That is the one that, when you check your bank account and wonder, where did all your money go? Between dining out, online shopping, DoorDash, it's very easy to lose track. Buying little figurines and whatnot, whatever it is, it's easy to lose track. But with Monarch Money, your personal CFO, it gives you full visibility and control over your finances. And it's not just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. They have all these surprising insights to tell you how to budget smarter and save more. It's just, like I said, command center, it's all in one convenience for you. You know what I mean? Just putting it all in one app. You don't have to worry about a bunch of these different things. This isn't like the Google apps on your phone where you need one for Gmail and Docs and Excel. You know what I mean? It's not like that. It's really got everything. And managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. So, take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Go on and check it out. And just like that, everybody, we are back here thriving and vibing here on the Locked On Padres podcast. Let's talk about the second and third, or the first and second games technically, of this series with the historic, the unbelievable, the fantastic 21, the 21. I'm sorry, what was it? What was the final score? It was 21, right? Yeah, 21-0 football score. Oh, man, oh, man. You know what I mean? Man, oh man, was this a great game. Just vibing on a Saturday night. You know what I mean? Here I am in Jersey, just vibing, seeing the Padres just smack stuff. And it was funny because, full disclosure, I had the basketball game on too. Because I was like, look, they're already up like 8-0 at the end of the third inning or whatever it was. And I was just like, but I have to keep watching because I think that they're just going to keep scoring. Like it was only the first inning in this game, guys. The first friggin' inning in this game, it was 5-0. After, Jackson Merrill drove in an RBI. Manny Machado scored on a wild pitch. Jake Cronenworth grounded out to get an RBI, by the way, which was still huge. And then Gavin Sheets hit an absolute mammoth tank god shot in this game. And to think that it wasn't the hardest hit ball of the game, that belongs to Manny Machado, who hit a double at 111.7 miles per hour. The Gavin Sheets home run, what I really like was, it went 439 feet. It had an expected batting average of 1,000. It's very rare that you get a lot of those type of hits. Same thing with Jake Cronenworth, who had an expected batting average of 1,000. He hit an absolute moonshot, 435. Just a lot of good offense from the Padres in this one. It's actually funny that the Rockies had a couple ones that were hit pretty hard too. Hunter Goodman, great weekend for him, like really hitting the ball hard. But in general, I mean, I don't know what else to say, right? I'm just going to keep going. Luis Arias drove it a run. Jake Cronenworth hit that home run. Merrill let me just read the overall numbers. I mean, this was insane. Tatis went 2 for 4 in this game with 3 RBs, a home run, and a walk. Luis Arias, 3 for 7, which is hilarious, by the way. And if you guys are wondering, it's because they did take out Tatis, Machado, and Bogarts in this game. Lockridge, Iglesias, and Tyler Wade respectively came in because it was just such a wipeout. Manny Machado 2 for 3 in this one with a walk. Who else we got? Jackson Merrill went 4 for 6 with 2 RBIs, right? Like he was amazing. Bogarts 2 for 4 with a home run, by the way, which was nice to see. It's always nice to see power from Xander Bogaerts, who has 2 home runs and Manny Machado only 3. I tweeted this yesterday too, but it's really surprising, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, that Manny Machado only has 3 home runs. There's nothing about his numbers that suggests that he shouldn't have more. Like, he probably should have a lot more. It's just really funny that he's just been driving guys in. And I know that there's been some people commenting on this channel that Machado hasn't driven in runners with runners in scoring position. That's just not true, right? Like, he's been very, very good this year. It's just funny that with Bogarts, while his hard hit rate does, vacillate back and forth between being hard and not hard, Machado's hasn't all year. And also, unlike Bogarts, Machado is carrying the ball, right? Like, he is getting barrels. So it's just a funny little thing that is really on Manny Machado's side, frankly, that he is not getting that many home runs, right? Like, that's just really funny. In barrel, he's in the 69th percentile. Everything else, he's in like the 90-plus percentile. Go look at his baseball savant page. He's been great. The only thing about him is he does whiff a decent amount, and he's been chasing a lot. So that means that I'm going to keep saying this, he does have moments where he might go into a little bit of a slump. And it's just going to be, that's just baseball, right? Like, but in general, he's been very, very good this year. Expected weighted on base of 412. That's in the 95th percentile. Like, he is, I think I'm pretty confident in saying he's back, right? Started off so poorly last year. And I think we were thinking, you know what? I think that it was the arm injury. I think it was the surgery. He should be fine. I think those first couple months, he was just coming back from the injury. And that's why he was struggling so much, because we saw how good he was in the second half. Turns out 100% vindicated on that. Not just me, but Padres fans everywhere. Machado is still a stud and has gotten to the level where he's almost even a little bit underrated these days. But anyway, still like seeing Bogarts get that home run. Jake Cronenworth 2 for 3 in this game with 3 RBIs and a home run as well. Gavin Sheets 3 for 6 with a home run and 3 RBIs. Jason Hayward also getting in on the action. And by the way, Jason Hayward pulling an Anthony Santander, swinging at a pitch way outside the zone for a home run. It was just home run happy ball the entire game. At some point, they brought in, some replacement players, position players to pitch, and then Gavin Sheets swung out one, and he even managed to hit a double. They're swinging at everything. It was just a good time, and it was also a historically good time, guys, because it wasn't just the Padres' offense. But you probably heard the score, 21-0, and that's because we got ourselves a gem. And my guy Zachary Shell and @MovieFanZ1720 mentioned Hey, when you talk about the 21-0 come up, make sure you mention that it was kind of, they made MLB history. Oh, buddy, don't worry. I did. According to OptaStats on Twitter, the Padres are the first MLB team to score 20-plus runs and have their starter throw a 9-inning shutout since the Cincinnati Red Stockings did so against the Baltimore Orioles on August 10th, 1889. My goodness, ladies and gentlemen, that is crazy. That is crazy. And again, watching the game, I told you, they were up by a lot, right? They were up by so much in this game that I was like, well, I'm going to have the basketball on the TV. It was 7-0 after the third that I'm like, okay, I don't have to watch this that intently. But I kept putting it on because I'm like, I just want to see if they keep scoring. And they did. They satisfied. So, look, is there also a minor criticism that it was like, dang, like you guys really threw everything into this game? Offense didn't quite show up on Sunday. Not their fault. Nick Pivetta was just not very good. You can't expect the team to score 10 runs for 3 straight games. That would be pretty nuts. But just an awesome offensive display. It's going to greatly inflate some of the Padres numbers though. So when you look at the overall like team numbers, so for example, Padres are currently first in batting average among all major league teams in Major League Baseball. That's not something I worry about too much because they were already up there in batting average. 7th in on-base percentage, same thing. They were about 9th or 10th before the weekend. But runs scored, they were like 22nd or 23rd in Major League Baseball. Now they're 14th. So that's a number that is a little bit inflated by this incredible stretch from over the weekend. But you know what? I ain't complaining. If you want to use it in your barroom arguments with Padres naysayers, fine by me. But it's just really nice to see. And I love just seeing, Tatis get some more power and whatnot. And also, I forgot to mention, made a really good catch on Sunday's game to just keep boosting those numbers if we're hoping he gets the MVP, making a great defensive play, and then Pivetta ended up giving up a home run after that. But whatever, just really, really good stuff from the Padres offense that I have no complaints about. But Stephen Kolek, man, that's the juicy stuff. Padres offense, this might have just been one of those, not flukes, but like they're not going to be this good offensively. At least I don't think they're going to be this good offensively. I think they're going to be a good offensive team, not the best in Major League Baseball. But Stephen Kolek is the most interesting development in this game. Like I said, it was a shutout. 9 innings, 0 earned runs on 5 hits, 2 walks, and 7 Ks. That is the second straight pretty good start by our guy. He didn't generate a lot of whiffs. 4 whiffs only on his fastball, right? And he threw that a lot. But and this is a bad Rockies lineup, right? So not a lot of whiffs, bad lineup. But to me, there are a couple things that do make it impressive. Number 1, it was his second career start. That's really good. And secondly, it's still Coors Field, right? So that's not the easiest place to go to. And number 3, and perhaps most importantly, I think that it does say something, even if it's against a bad team, for you to be on the bench for so long, like watching all this unfold, like taking half-hour like breaks between pitching, I still think it says something that he stayed in the game and was able to just go at it. Yes, the Rockies lineup is probably totally dejected at this point, but still he executed, and that's what you want from the Padres. And here's the thing. With the lack of whiffs, that's not the type of pitcher Stephen Kolek is. So I'm not going to be as worried if he's not getting that many strikeouts. But he still managed to, more so than, say, Randy Vasquez has throughout his tenure as a starting pitcher for the Padres, right? He's been a guy that struggled a little bit with the strikeouts. But for me, what I'm looking at with Stephen Kolek is he's generating soft contact, and I think he can be the guy. I really do. I really, really do, guys. I know that this sounds crazy, and I've been a little bit bullish on this guy, but I think there's a reason that Niebla, I think there's a reason Michael King, I think there's a reason that they kept putting him out there last year. They like his stuff, and when it comes to the Padres pitching staff, I like that they are, what's the word? I pay attention when they're bullish on people. You know what I mean? With the offense, we've talked about Yuli Gurriel enough. But with pitching, I pay attention because I think they know what they're doing there, especially Ruben Niebla. In terms of the expected ERA, 2.32 right now. So it's not like he's getting unholy lucky. Doesn't have the best velo, and I understand he's not going to get that many strikeouts and whiffs and whatnot, right? But the ground ball rate, if he does that, he can be an awesome number 5. Awesome number 5. Even upside to be a good number 4, in my opinion. Still hasn't given up a run. I really think this could be that dude because he doesn't walk as many batters. I think that is the biggest difference between him and Randy Vasquez. And the ground ball rate, the hard hit stuff, yes, Randy's decent at that as well. But to me, the bigger thing here is extreme ground ball rate, not giving up hard contact. I like him. I really do. I think that this could be the dude. I think when it's all said and done, the rotation is going to be King, Cease, Pivetta, Darvish, and Stephen Kolek. And maybe we'll see Randy Vasquez at times. Right? knock on wood, with injuries, and I still think he has value on this team. Similar to what I was talking about with Matt Waldron much for the season is they still have value. They can be spot starters. They can be guys that give you depth, and they can go out and at least give you the chance to win the game. That matters over the course of 162, right? When it comes to playoffs, Pivetta, Cease, and King, I think can win you stuff, including Darvish as well. I think that's playoff caliber rotation for sure. But to get through a season, sometimes you need more than that. And I think that with Kolek, Randy, and what's his face? Who's the last one that I'm forgetting? And Matt Waldron, allegedly, if he ever came back, I think that can do well. So this is a great development for the Padres. I cannot wait to see him pitch next, which should probably come against the Mariners. And that's a scary team. They've been hitting really well lately. So I'm curious to see how that goes. But for now, I know it's the Rockies, but I'm still very, very impressed. Still only his second career start. I don't care if it was a bad team. That's impressive. But folks, we're not done yet. I talked about this second game a lot more than I anticipated, but we're going to talk about the last game from Friday really, really quickly and then get into some of the mailbag questions in just a second. But first, one more word from one more of our sponsors. And folks, that sponsor is a very wonderful one. You know what I'm talking about, guys. It is our friends over at the Pistachios that are wonderful, because if you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, you just got to crack into a good source of protein with wonderful pistachios. It is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. I like the no shells variety as well. I like the different flavors. They've got some roast. They got a little bit more spice out there. If you're feeling a little bit more kick for your day, you want to get a little more oomph, they've got you there. But me personally, I'm a big shells guy because I just like cracking them open. It's therapeutic. Don't ask me why. I'm weird. If you haven't gotten that I'm weird over the course of listening to this podcast, I don't know what you've been listening to, frankly, but go check it out, guys. Get snackin' and get crackin' with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here in the final segment of this here Locked On Padres podcast. We have no time to waste because we got one more game to talk about really quickly, and then we get into the mailbag. 13-9 W by the Padres in this one. And this is one of those that I'm glad that I watched the full way through, because unlike Saturdays, this actually did get scary at one point. But the Padres take a commanding lead in this one with a Manny Machado single to start. Jackson Merrill rips a double. Gavin Sheets rips a double. Jake Cronenworth, he drives in. He has his fielder's choice RBI. Gavin Sheets gets another double in this one. Jason Hayward, by the way, contributing a little bit in his own way. Has had a couple really nice catches for the Padres this year. Savvy veteran. I like his presence. And then Martin Maldonado actually gets a home run in this game too. The Padres at one point had 12 runs, and the only home run that arose from this, unlike, say, Gavin Sheets or Jake Cronenworth or Tatis or Bogarts or all these guys, it was from Martin Maldonado, who hit a 2-run shot in this one, which part of me is like, man, I wish we could have saved Maldonado's 3 home runs he'll have this year for better points. You know what I mean? I wish we could have saved it, but whatever. Bogarts had a sac fly in this one as well. Jake Cronenworth drives in the last run. But in the bottom of the 8th, the Rockies came back. They ended up bringing this up to 13-9 to the point where they had to bring in Robert Suarez because the Padres' pen did not totally shut things down. Sean Reynolds struggled big time in this game. 0.2, he only got 2 outs, and he gave up 4 earned runs. The stuff plus metrics on him were not very good. He was not throwing the same level of velocity. Not great. And then Wandy Peralta, again, wasn't very good, only getting 1 out and giving up 2 earned runs. So, is it possible that Wandy Peralta is regressing and he's becoming what he was last year? It could be possible, right? But I'm still giving him a second because this is what happens with relievers sometimes. They go through really weird, rough patches. But in general, yeah. The stretch when Wandy Peralta had the best FIP in Major League Baseball, I don't think that's going to happen. But bottom line is this is a guy who limits hard contact and generates a lot of ground balls. So I still think as a low leverage arm, he can still be okay. I do believe that. I wouldn't panic too much on Wandy Peralta. I understand that his ERA now is at 7. It's just come at a crazy bad time, right? His expected ERA, all that stuff is much better. I'm not freaking out, but not a great start from him. Not a very good start from our guy Wandy. And then Sean Reynolds is the more disappointing thing, because this is a guy I actually talked about on Friday where, Padres have such a good bullpen. Should they trade from the bullpen a little bit? Maybe just a little bit. They could potentially, but I think this is a reminder that nothing's set in stone, and that I think the stuff being a little bit down for Sean Reynolds could be a result of Was this guy really all that good last year, right? Was he just a rookie flash in the pan? Or, in my opinion, more the latter, which is he's still working his way back from an injury, right? This is a guy who had a near 40% K rate in the few appearances that he did make last year. He was excellent, but give it some time. I'm not going to immediately start saying this guy's the new Tom Cosgrove, right? A reliever that we found that was amazing and then comes into the sport the next year and just gets absolutely lit up. I'm not saying that just yet, but some of the underlying metrics. He was like a 105 stuff plus guy, now is at 97, right? So his numbers were not nearly as good in this one. So that's the most concerning thing. But overall, remember that even if these things aren't going to go very well, even if we're a little bit worried, the fact that Wandy Peralta and Sean Reynolds and Alec Jacob are low leverage guys, you still got Yuki Matsui, you still got Estrada, you still got Suarez, you still got Adam, you still got someone else I'm blanking on right now. This is still a great bullpen. It's just having a very, in my opinion, it looks worse because they were so unbelievably good to start the season. They're not going to be a bullpen that gives up 1 run a month. It's just not going to happen. That would be insane. Right? And I think that in general that's what's happening right now. But Padres offense, love to see it. And love to see a nice start from Randy Vasquez. Dare I say his best start of the season. And this was the one thing I was wrong about. I thought it would get a little bit out of control. I was right, but it actually didn't come from him, which I think is very funny. 6 innings, 2 earned runs on 6 hits, 1 walk, 5 Ks. His first start of the year when he struck out more batters than walked. I still like Randy. I still got some love for him. I'm just a little bit higher on Kolek because I think the stuff is a little bit better. But overall, can't be upset with Randy Vasquez. I am still a little bit worried that he's going to have that start where he gets absolutely bombarded and the Padres are forced to use bullpen after the 3rd inning. But for right now, when it comes to just depth, when it comes to guys just kind of carrying the load while Dylan Cease figures out whatever's going on with him, he's been very good. So great offensive game for the Padres and a pretty good start from our guy as well. Not much else to report there, guys, so let's get into the mailbag, folks. And you didn't send too many questions this week, but let me tell you, they were still good. They were still very good. First of all, at Phoenix Ash 927 says, I was at the Padres-Yankees game Wednesday, by the way. Great game. If Cease didn't cramp up, he would have gotten that second no-hitter. I'm fully buying this team. AJ needs to get a bat for the bottom of the rotation. Some better bench help, and then sit back and rake in the wins. Go Pods. Love a fellow New York, tri-state area, whatever, Padres fan attendance and all that stuff. And if you're from here, Phoenix Ash, love that very much. Look, yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that Cease was absolutely unbelievable, and it looks like he's okay. And that's the good news. So hopefully he'll be able to continue the good momentum going forward. And also, John94949 says, you're from Jersey? Nice to see the Padres have appeal outside of SoCal. Yeah, I mean, I've said this a lot, and it's okay. I don't mind at all when people forget or don't know that I'm from Jersey. It's not exactly the regular origin story. But as I talked with Stephen Woods, like, he's a former Yankee fan as well. And it's just funny to me, like, how these things happen these days. Like, I just think that fandom is such a funny thing because, you know, I just think that because of technology and because of just everybody having more access to finding out about other teams, that people are becoming fans of teams that they like more than just, oh, you were born there, so you have to be a fan of that team. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's your home. I'm all cool with that. It's just, why is that less arbitrary than being like, hey, I like certain players and whatnot? So that's how kind of it came along. And shout out Sean Woodley, Lockdown Raptors guy, for bringing me on board in the first place. Next question, no, we don't want to stall for too long. My guy, Ye Ong, he was on this podcast a while ago, my Australian homie. Been a really long time since he's been on the pod, but he was great. He said, question for the mailbag, why are the Rockies? I mean, why are the Rockies? Why are the Rockies? My guy, Paul Holden, host of Locked On Rockies, he was posting, he's like, this is my favorite team. Like, love my baseball team so much. They're so bad. I mean, it's just, I feel for that fan base sometimes, man. And if anything, every Padres fan, when the next time the Padres go through a bad stretch, remember that bad stretch when they got swept by the Rays and they scored like 1 run over the course of 15 games? Remember that there are fan bases like the Rockies. Just remember it. It might help you just a little bit. So keep that in mind, guys. But moving on. John949 also brings up, trade talks are probably impacting Cease's play. Maybe trying to pressure himself for his next team or preserve himself for his next team, i.e. rat face Hader. My gosh, a shot from my guy here to Josh Hader. I just don't think trade rumors are like I think the trade rumors are, let me put the bias goggles on. I think that the trade rumors for Dylan Cease are a little bit overplayed. I think that this happens sometimes with small market teams, where if a small market team is facing some struggle, the mainstream outlets will be like, well, they got to give them up because that's what they always do. You notice this a lot with the NBA, where people for years were like, Giannis needs to leave, and then he won an NBA championship. I think that with the Padres, you've also seen it where they're like, well, they got to trade Tatis. I just feel like there's sometimes well, these small market teams don't matter, so just give it to us, the big markets. And I think that the Dylan Cease trade rumors, while I understand why they emerged, I don't think that they're totally real right now. I think that if Dylan Cease was going to be traded, it was going to be a Godfather offer from the Orioles or a team of that nature, maybe the Cubs. And since the Padres have been good, unless they are really bad come deadline, he's not going to trade him because I don't think it's worth it for a Scott Boras client. Right? So I don't think it's the trade stuff. I think it's that he was using different pitches to try and up his potential future value and maybe be a better playoff starter. But in general, I think that that's what happened. And again, he's been just a little bit unfortunate. He's had a couple innings that just get away from him that completely inflate his ERA. So I don't think that's what it is. I think Cease is just one of those guys where the ERA can get out of control sometimes. I could be wrong though. At Johnny Cage, 1057 says, so far that bullpen is smoke and mirrors and starting to crack. Dodgers fan Johnny Cage thinks that the Padres bullpen is bad. Take with that what you will. At Jeffrey Hammock 3557 says, clearly a playoff team, exciting team, and Jackson Merrill looks like the real deal. Has not missed a beat from being out a month. I still cannot believe he has a higher WAR than the so-called top rookie of 2024, Elly De La Cruz, who has played like every game for the Reds. First of all, Elly De La Cruz catching a stray. How dare you, sir? I'm a Padres man through and through. I love hyping up Jackson Merrill, but we don't have to. I don't know if you guys know that meme by any chance of the two looking good chicken wings or whatever. And then it's like, why here y'all go putting two bad, mofos at each other again. I don't know if you guys know that meme. That's a little bit of a stretch, but Elly De La Cruz, while he hasn't been amazing. Wait, where is he, by the way? Where's Elly De La Cruz? I don't even see his numbers right now. Yeah, he's been quite bad this year, actually, I will say. This guy was awesome, and he's super fun to watch. He had a 118 WRC plus last year, but a 6 wins above replacement mark. He hit 25 home runs, stole 67 bases. His first year, stole 35. Like, let's relax, man. Elly De La Cruz is awesome. Don't take shots at him, man. 6 WAR last year. He's very good. But I will say with Jackson Merrill, though, they actually put this on the broadcast at one point. The best OPS, the OPS leader since July 24th of last year are like Aaron Judge, Vlad Jr., Shohei Ohtani, and Jackson Merrill. We're looking at a freaking superstar, not just a star, but a superstar. I still have questions because of the lack of a walk rate, but sometimes when you watch this kid play, you're like, this dude's just never going to not hit the ball. So, like, I don't care if he only walks 5% of the time. He might just be a guy that always hits the ball. But we'll have to see if pitchers and whatnot adapt to him. But love me some Jackson Merrill. And me, I'm not totally ready to just immediately call them a playoff team just yet. I stand by my prediction, which was good team that misses the playoffs. But I still like it. At Tony Sue 8860 says, poor Javi, always unhappy when every Padre doesn't produce high exit velocities every at-bat. Well, so here's the thing that I like about sports is that, like, it's very easy that when things are going good to be like, they're so good. And then when things are going bad, be like, they're so bad, right? And that's what my job is to look at, is to just give my perspective and try not to be too biased about the team and say, all right, well, Randy Vasquez has a sub-2 ERA. Sometimes there are things that tell us he's not pitching actually that amazing, and there's maybe some luck on his hand. When you see that a player that you didn't expect, let's say Adrian Gonzalez of the Dodgers in circa 2016 or 2017. He's on pace for 58 home runs because he hit 6 in the first week or whatever it was. It's your job sometimes to be like, well, this is probably going to go down. Like, this is a little bit unrealistic. The reason I like bringing up exit velocities on this show is because it tells you something about the player going forward. In a playoff game, I don't give a damn what their exit velocities are, right? You get a hit, you get a hit. People just got to show up and try and make it on base. That's all I care about. But when it comes to the course of a season, Tony Sue, your look at this being like, I don't care how hard the ball was hit, like it was a hit. That is somewhat justified, but it depends on the player. Because if you take that attitude towards every player and you don't look at some of these metrics, you're the type of person to say, Eric Hosmer figured it out at the beginning of 2022, right? For those who don't remember, Eric Hosmer was unbelievable at the beginning of 2022. His last year with the Padres, right? He was hitting 389. So Tony Sue would be like, he's a great player. Why are you criticizing him? Because there were better metrics that said he was going to regress. What happened after that? In May, it was 265. June, it was 202. Then 254. Then 225. There you go, right? Like, sometimes you have to look at these things to give you a better idea of if the player's getting a little bit lucky. And some players, like Luis Arraez, are not just exit velocities, right? I'm just saying that I look at these stats because I think that just looking at the overall surface level things is not very helpful. And it's very easy to come out and say, well, Randy Vasquez is amazing when he's got a 1.6 ERA. You know what I mean? And I'm also guilty of sometimes looking at a mainstream argument. I feel like I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but I can also be guilty of being a little bit too hipster sometimes, where if everybody's agreeing on something, I'm like, no, I got to zag. You know what I mean? I can be guilty of doing that sometimes too. But in general, I'm not upset if guys don't hit the ball hard. It's just that I'm using that to explain if Manny Machado isn't getting hits, but he's hitting the ball super hard and he's barreling the ball a lot and he's getting on base at a decent amount, guess what? Chances are he's going to get better and he's going to start driving in more runs. And chances are we're going to see some balls go over the fence too soon. That's all I'm saying. Last question, though, comes from Rama Murdy via Blue Sky, the always exceptional Rama Murdy. He says, hi, Javier. Happy Mother's Day, and to you and yours as well, Rama Murdy. And happy Mother's Day to everybody who celebrated and whatnot. And for everybody who maybe couldn't, my thoughts are with you as well. I know this can be a tough holiday for some people out there as well. But he said, question for Monday's show, how important is it going 6-3 on this road trip? Have you revised your prediction for how the Padres will finish the season? Will your trip to San Diego be the first time you've ever been there? Do you plan to do any sightseeing? Get some Mexican food, as it is the best in the country. So a lot of questions there, my friend. But first of all, I haven't totally revised my stance because NL West, really good. I will maybe revise a tiny bit in saying that there are things on this team that make it look like there's definitely nothing on this team that I've seen so far where I'm like, they're going to miss the playoffs because they are not performing well. That's not a vibe I'm getting. I'm getting a vibe of maybe the D-backs and the Dodgers and some of these other NL teams, Braves. Braves might make a comeback. You've still got the Mets, the Phillies. They might just win 89 games and miss the playoffs. So I'm not going to stay away from that, but I really love what I've seen so far. And then he says, how important is it going 6-3 on the road trip? It's great, right? I mean, yes, it was the Rockies. We're a part of this, and that's just a team that you have to beat. But it still matters because this is a team that also looked bad at the end of April, right? They lost those 3 games against the Rays. They also lost 2 out of 3 games against Detroit, right? Still, I think really, really good set for the Padres, even if they couldn't get the sweep. And then, yes, this will be my first time going to San Diego. I do plan on doing some sightseeing with friends. We're planning on going like a hike at some point. I don't know where we could go on a hike, but he's a San Diego native, so he'll probably know. And we are going to go and get as much Mexican food as possible. I've heard rumors of it. Will Myers, the legend, has talked about it himself. He's a big fan of it. I will absolutely be doing that. Let me know in the comments, by the way, guys. And let me know, message me if you're at the game or anything like that. I'd love to say hi. If you don't want to say hi, that's fine too. But let me know. Message me on Twitter /X and Blue Sky at Javipeno, Javiipeno. We might go to 2 games, but for now, I think we're going to the Sunday game against the Mariners. That should be a lot of fun. And let me know of any other food spots. I'd love to know. I'm really, really excited to visit for the first time ever. And this will be the first like trip I have as an adult. Sort of. I went to Florida like last year, but I don't know. It doesn't count as much because it was just a little bit different. This time it's just with my friends only and whatnot. It was a solo flight to Florida. I guess Florida counts. You get my point, though. So I'm really excited for this, and I can't wait to be at the game. I can't wait to be at Petco. I feel like it's going to be an experience that I won't forget, especially because by all accounts, including from Dodger fans that I know, Petco is one of the best ballparks in baseball. So can't wait, guys. And can't wait to hear more from you. A little bit of a programming note. We're going to be doing some episode recaps, but because my flight is on Wednesday, I'll be getting to San Diego early at Thursday. I don't know what's going to happen the rest of the day. It's going to be a pre-recorded episode. We're going to talk about some of the biggest surprises and maybe a little bit of roster moves. It's going to be more of an evergreen episode, so just keep in mind that Thursday's episode in your feed, if something happened, it probably won't be discussed. Like if some breaking news happened, if they made a trade, if someone got hurt, expect that won't be what I'm talking about because I won't be able to set up my recording as much. And then Friday, same sort of thing, but it will be a preview of the Mariners series with my guy, Ty Dan Gonzalez of Locked On Mariners. So look forward to all that, guys. But it's been a chunky boy episode for a chunky good weekend. Until next time, stay safe and, of course, stay faithful. My Friday Faithful homies, take